Factoring the difference of two squares. How do we factor out the difference of two squares? Let's have an example. We have here the quantity of a squared minus b squared. Factor out the difference of two squares. All we need to do is find for the sum and the difference of two terms. Okay, let's have here the sum of two terms. Now, when we speak of the sum of two terms, the terms here would be the bases, okay, would be the original term or the original base. Now, since a squared is raised to 2, okay, the square root of a squared is a. This is our first term. And of course, our second term here would be the square root of b squared. And the square root of b squared is b. We will multiply this by the difference of two terms. So when we speak of the difference of two terms, this is the minus sign that we will use, and we are going also to use the same terms. So we have here a minus b. And this is how we factor out the difference of two squares. So the quantity of a squared minus b squared, that is equal to the quantity of a plus b multiplied by a minus b. Let's have another example. We have here 16x squared minus 25. This is the difference of two squares because 16x squared is a square and 25 is also a square, perfect square. Square root of our first term, we have here the square root of 16x squared. The square root of 16x squared, square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of x squared will be x raised to 2 divided by 2. This will be 4 raised to x. 25, of course, the square root of 25 is 5. We now have the two terms. Our two terms here will be the quantity of 4x plus 5. Multiply this by the quantity of 4x minus 5. Our next example will be 81 m raised to 4 n raised to 2 and o raised to 6 minus 36x squared. Okay, so first let us get the square root of the two terms. Let us now find for the square root of the two terms. The first term here is the square root of 81 m raised to 4 n raised to 2 and o raised to 6. Square root of 81 is 9, and the square root of m raised to 4 will be 4 divided by 2. How about for n raised to 2? This will be 2 divided by 2, and o raised to 6, this will be 6 divided by 2. And this will be 9 m raised to 2 n raised to 2 divided by 2 is 1, and o raised to 3. The square root of 36, okay, square root of 36 x raised to 2. This will be 6, and this will be x raised to 2 all over 2. This will be 6x. Okay. And the sum and difference of two terms now, this will be the square root of 9 m squared n o3 plus 6x. Multiply this by the same terms, 9 m squared n o3 minus 6x. And these are our solutions for the three examples. Let's have another example. We have here the quantity of 4 all over 121 x raised to 8 y raised to 10 minus 49 all over 81 z raised to the power of 4. To factor this out, let us first check if the two terms are perfect squares. So 4 over 121 is a perfect square, same with the 2 x raised to 8 and y raised to 10. 49 over 81 is also a perfect square as well as z raised to 4. We can now proceed and in getting or in finding the square roots of the two terms. Okay, for the first term, we will have the square root of 4 over 121 x raised to 8 and y raised to 10. Square root of 4, that will give for the square root of 4 that is equal to 2. Square root of 121 is 11. And then the square root of x raised to 8, this will be x raised to 8 divided by 2. And for y raised to 10, this will be y raised to 10 divided by 2. 2 over 11, x raised to 4, and y raised to 5. For the second term, we will have here the square root of 49 over 81 z raised to 4. Square root of 49 here will be 7 all over square root of 81, that will give us 9. And this will be the square root of z raised to 4 all over 2. And 7 over 9 z raised to 4 divided by 2 is 2. Will be 2 over 11 x raised to 4 y raised to 5. And we will have here the sum plus our second term 7 over 9 z squared. Multiply this by the difference of two terms. We will just copy the terms. 2 over 11 x raised to 4 y raised to 5, and this is the difference now minus this. And this is our answer to our last example.